Welcome to the AGC podcast. If you don't know us already, the Accouter Group of Companies is a British interior design collective with a portfolio of 6 international award-winning design brands. I'm your host, Tori, and in this pod we'll be revealing exactly what it takes to build a global design collective that works in some of the world's most exclusive postcodes. You'll meet the talented individuals behind each brand, as well as the many interesting people that have joined us along the way. Stay with us to hear more about how we got here, where we are going, and how we plan on being a force for good in this world of possibilities. We're very excited to be joined today by the 2 celebs of AGC, our co-founders, Alec and Stella Gittins. Thank you very much for joining us and taking the time.
Thank you for finally having us.
I know, it's taken a while, hasn't it? But we've got there.
So happy.
So we'll be delving into what it takes to start your own business, the ups, the downs, and the type of people involved to make it happen. So we need to take it back to the beginning. So what was the inspiration behind the business? And was there a particular moment that you felt made you take the leap? So Stella, I'm going to start with your version.
I believe that it was always inevitable that we would start and create something. And if I think back to a pivotal moment, it probably marries up with Alec's pivotal moment. And that was an evening at the Champion pub in Notting Hill.
Over a glass of Coca-Cola.
Exactly.
Yeah, just an innocent glass of Coke. Yeah.
It was it is a very inspirational place. Have you ever been?
No, I haven't. I can't say I have, but now I will. Now I know that this is where it all began.
That's where it started. And actually, fun fact, a year or 2 afterwards, I ended up living above it.
There you go. Yeah. Because you were so inspired by the whole conversation. Was it just a drunken suggestion of over your glass of Coca-Cola?
Yeah.
Let's start a business. We'd be good in business together. Let's start a business.
So I think I've said this before, but I do a thing where I write down 5 or 6 things I want to achieve in the year ahead of me. Mm-hmm. And one of them was starting a business with Stella. And I can't remember if that was after the chat in the Champions pub or before, but that definitely happened. And then I think in terms of one of the reasons that we decided to do it is that that the industry at that time was populated by kind of one-man bands. It was a bit of a cottage industry. So we thought that we could maybe do it better, slightly more professionalised, and that's how we kind of started off.
There was also another extreme, wasn't there? That it was quite corporate. It was one extreme to the other. So the idea of going in at that time, 12 years ago, and creating AGC, building a business with the type of culture we have, it was just really exciting.
Yeah. So you must have a good dynamic between you both. Well, we've seen it in the office, but for everyone else, you have a good connection.
Well, I believe there's a diversity in our strengths.
Okay.
And I think that creates balance. Mm-hmm. So throughout the time, if I think about it, I think that diversity has created some resilience in the business. It's made us adaptable. It's given fresh perspectives. And also looking back at what our strengths were back in the day, I would have said when we started out, Alec was a more strategic thinker and good with numbers. And then maybe I was more of the creative one.
Yeah.
I mean, our strengths, as we've grown, we've had to learn and evolve, and it's very different now. I mean, Alec's very creative now. He was at an innovation session earlier,
coming out with all the ideas now.
Yeah, exactly.
I wasn't allowed to straighten the cushions or anything at one point, so things have moved on dramatically.
You changed.
Last few years have changed a lot, yeah.
So, it's actually a question I get asked a lot. What is the history or the inspiration behind the name Accouter as it first started?
That's definitely for you to answer.
So it was, so we decided to set the company up, and then we were deciding what to call it. So we had a thesaurus, and we had, I think, GoDaddy.com on there. on the laptop, and we were basically looking at kind of words that we could use that still had .com available. And Accouter, I think, is to furnish, to equip, to dress, and the .com was available.
So
that was it.
That was the reason behind it.
Alec.com
commercial approach, yeah.
It actually came up as word of the day somewhere recently, didn't it? Someone sent it to me. Accouter was word of the day.
Was it?
Wow, there you go.
I hadn't really heard the word before Accouter, before hearing Accouter.
It's becoming very popular.
Very prestigious now.
I think you two have started that trend.
We may have done.
Yeah. And so what were some of the biggest challenges you faced at the beginning or throughout the process?
I would say, actually, there was less challenges to start. Because when you start,
it depends who's saying it.
that's very true. No, but when you start, you're the fresh faces on the scene. Everyone's really supportive. They want to be part of your story, and you're really building something exciting. The challenges come when you're further on down the line and staying relevant and keeping everyone excited. And also the landscape's changed hugely, navigating through Brexits and COVIDs and those types of eras have been kind of more challenging than actually starting.
Yeah. I guess at the beginning you can take risks as well. No one's got there's no pressure on what you're doing. You can just go for it and trial and error.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of business owners have said that if they knew all of the things they were going to have to do and face when they started setting up the business, they probably wouldn't have done it. But I think going through those challenges has kind of makes you what you are. And also, as Stella said, I think at the start, we had a bit of a network of kind of people that knew us, friends that really were very, very supportive. So that gave us that kind of that start that we started off very, very fast. So it's we had exciting times.
And would you still have gone ahead with it if you knew now what was involved?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Still have done it?
Definitely.
You'd be here now on this pod.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And what was your pinch me moment where you were thinking, oh my God, this is real?
I've got one.
Go on then.
I was in a cafe in Chelsea, just behind the King's Road, queuing up to buy a drink. And there was two ladies in front of me, and I was earwigging on their conversation, and they were talking about an interior design and furnishing company that had just furnished one of their apartments. And they started to talk about Box 97, and I thought, oh my days, we're actually genuinely professional and serious. Like, I haven't had to instigate this conversation. Like, other people know about it. So that was a definite pinch me moment.
That was a good feeling moment.
Yeah.
And especially hearing good feedback as well.
Definitely.
Did you butt in saying, by the way, it's me, I'm behind?
I didn't. I'm very humble. If it was bad feedback, I wouldn't be telling you.
Yeah, that would have been kept quiet.
Exactly.
Did you have one?
I think more recently, the only because I know how much work went into it, and the fact that we were the first in our industry to get it in the UK was the B Corp accreditation, to be along the kind of same lines as Patagonia, Chloe. That was a kind of, we're feeling quite grown up moment.
Yeah.
And I think the challenge we have with that is a lot of people still don't know what B Corp is and stands for. And it's actually, that kind of gold standard of sustainability, ESG. And I think we could be a bit better about promoting that within the business because it is quite unique. It is something to be very proud of. So
yeah. Nice. And what was the original vision for the company? And has it changed along the way, would you say?
I don't think it's changed along the way. I feel like there was two elements. One was to just create really exceptional, good quality interiors. And then the other part was creating a really great workplace, a place where we wanted to come every day and build a team around that so they get the same fulfillment, enjoyment out of work. I feel like they're two quite core principles that have lasted the test of time.
Yeah.
And I think how that's developed, which maybe wasn't in the plan A, was how we've created mini businesses within the group. So, the brands have got their own P&L, their own people in those brands. They've got a fair amount of autonomy. They have their own strategies, marketing, vision, and all that kind of support from the group. And obviously, you yourself know that you started on that journey with BTR.
Yeah.
That's blossomed from just a build to rent offering into hospitality.
Yeah.
Just launching the workplace element. There's more people in the team. You've got some fantastic projects coming on board. So that's quite a good example of how that's really, under your and Sophie's stewardship, really kind of blossomed into something that maybe wouldn't have happened that way if it was kind of structured in a different way.
That's something that stuck with me about AGC, is having the freedom to run it like it's your own business, but obviously within the safety net of being within a group. But you've got the freedom to have the ideas, run with the ideas, and just make a business grow.
Yeah.
So it's a great place to be.
And that's probably not what we thought about when we first started, but that's a really nice kind of thing that's happened along the way.
Did you think it would be one brand you'd sort of stick it, or I guess you didn't probably think of it as one brand eventually? You're just thinking, let's try it, let's see where this goes.
Yeah, in the Champion pub, it's probably one brand. But after a couple of months, we were asked to pitch on a certain project, and we realised that we needed another brand because it didn't quite marry up with what we were promoting elsewhere, and it's just evolved. And with us adapting to the marketplace, we needed to create brands that certain markets would understand.
So what advice would you give yourself if you were starting out from the beginning again, or to anyone thinking about starting their own business? Is there one piece of advice you'd give them?
I think my what I've kind of really honed in on over the years is to be with people that you trust. I think our kind of default position is to see the good in everybody, or see the good in people, or see the good in the situation, and most of the time that kind of bears out into something really positive. And if it doesn't, then they're not the sort of people that we want to be around. So that's right across the board with clients, people we're working with, suppliers, what have you. So that's a really big key thing for me.
So to get to know you both a little better, we're going to do a quick fire round of questions aimed at both of you, whoever wants to answer first. So, what did you last laugh at?
So mine was this is one that kind of, I think back on it and makes me laugh. So it's not the last thing I laughed at is not for public consumption.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you the one I laughed at quite a bit.
Yeah.
When I think back at it. So we've got a Westie dog called Barney, and one day, I don't know quite how it happened, we introduced him to Mr. Whippy ice cream. And he's quite an intelligent dog, Barney, and he liked the Mr. Whippy ice cream. And in the park where we take him for a walk in the summer, there's a Mr. Whippy ice cream van standing there. So one day, I let him off the lead. He walked straight over to the Mr. Whippy ice cream van and stood in the queue, waiting to be served his Mr. Whippy ice cream.
Did he get to the front?
He waited and he got to the front, and then I had to go and buy the ice cream for him.
I feel like mine's going to be a little bit boring now, because I feel that all I laugh at these days are my Instagram reels. You know, when you say I'm going to bed and then an hour later you're just
you've been sucked in.
Yeah. I tend to really go for the ladies scaring their husbands or people falling over.
That's the bedtime.
And then I've got a few relationships. Have you got some of those? Just
no idea
that you constantly send reels to. That's all you send. There's no conversations. It's just back and forward reels.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. What do you do to relax?
I'm in my gardening. I love gardening. It's all about the perennials this year. The hydrangeas,
Lovely.
Bringing it all together.
Beautiful.
Russian sage.
I bet it's well designed as well.
It's very well curated. We should move into garden design.
We should move into landscaping. That will be the next brand.
I think as you get older, this is something that I didn't think it would happen when I was younger, but you do get quite a good satisfaction from a nicely cut lawn. And
the smell of cut grass.
and the cut lawn and all that kind of stuff. So we've kind of, there's a few of us on it's not a real sharing thing, but it's a WhatsApp group. We like to cut the lawn and then send each other the photographs of the lawn and then mark each other's lawns out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you win? How often do you win?
Well, that's when we start arguing about the scores, but let's not talk about that. The satisfaction of a nicely cut lawn is...
So both outdoors, that's nice.
Yeah.
And what's your favourite game?
So my favourite game is Monopoly, but I'm not allowed to play it in the house anymore because nobody will play with me because
you cheat? Or...
Well, there's accusations of cheating, bribery, emotional blackmail, stealing, those sorts of things.
Yeah.
Which I refuse.
None of them are true, obviously.
None of them are true, but I can't play at home anymore because I won't play with you. That is my favourite game.
It's a common theme with people thinking this about you and playing games and cheating.
Interesting. So Stella, what's your favourite game?
Well, I've recently established that I'm very good at darts. So therefore, that's my favourite game.
I think you two need a Monopoly and dart off. And
We've had
just
a dart
see
off.
who wins.
We've had a dart off.
Okay, well,
It's a
we'd
setup.
all like
It's
to
a
see. Let's see. We'll do everything off it so you can have eyes. No cheating.
Yeah.
It's going to be fair and square.
Okay.
The last book you read?
Mine was The Gap and the Gain. It's a book about living. You either live in the gap or you live in the gain. I'm gap. Alec is gain. I live in the gap. That means that there is always a gap to where I need to get to. Never satisfied.
Okay.
So you've got to learn to appreciate.
So what is the gain?
have.
Is the gain where you're satisfied with what you've got?
Well, I'm never satisfied. That's the problem. But Alec is very good at
the gap.
Because I'm always in the gap. Whereas Alec is very good at appreciating life.
Okay, and not thinking there's something
else.
more to strive, but still striving for more.
Yeah,
Not.
yeah.
You keep going with that one. Alec, what was the last book you read?
The Count of Monte Cristo.
That's
And if you want a good book about revenge, that's the one.
But that's a chunky book, isn't it?
And that is good.
Okay, need to add that to the list. And what essentials are always in your fridge?
So I've got a little bit of a penchant for the cheese. So there's always cheese in the fridge. But the slight problem I have with that is that when I get the cheese out, Barney the Westie also has a little taste for cheese as well. So he'll appear knowing that I've got the cheese out and I've got to pay the cheese tax.
So mine is quite basic. There is always a bottle of tomato ketchup in my fridge. And I know that is a big debate.
Yeah.
Is it cupboard or is it fridge? And I've thought about this. And I believe the glass bottle belongs in the cupboard.
Okay.
And the plastic bottle, the squeezy bottle, seems more fitting for the fridge.
What's the best gift you've ever given or received?
One of the best gifts I was given, or it was actually my daughter, she was given an amazing pair of Nike trainers by the artist Nat Bowen, and she poured resin art all over them. They're amazing.
That's cool.
Needless to say, they've never been worn, but they're stowed away. Yeah, stowed away. It's a piece of art.
Probably my favourite gift for giving out is, and I've done this to a few people that I know, is when they're having they've got little ones just growing up and they started to have their stories read to them. There's this book called My Dad, and it's a small book about how great the dad is. I'm not saying it's brainwashing the children or anything like that, or trying to influence them in any way.
No.
But I found it to be quite helpful.
Okay.
The kind of positioning and strategy in the family.
And what would you be doing if you weren't sat here recording this and have started your own business?
I've always wanted to go to art college. I never ticked it off my list, but it's always stayed on my list. That time hasn't passed me by. It will happen. And I am taking art lessons on the side.
Then already.
Yeah. So I'm working towards that.
Nice. Alec?
So, just picking up on the lawn theme, I went to the last game of the season last year for Ipswich Town, and they had to win the game to get promoted. Someone very kindly got me a ticket, and we did win. And there was a pitch invasion, which afterwards everybody was celebrating. So a few of us went onto the pitch, and one of the first things that struck me was the quality of the grass on that pitch. So while taking photographs from all those merrymen, I also took a photograph of the grass and sent that to our little WhatsApp group of lawn people, because that was. So in terms of a job maybe outside of Accouter, I wouldn't mind giving the groundsman at Portman Road a go.
Okay. Yeah. I thought you were going to say you were going to photograph grass.
Yeah.
That'd be stupid.
Okay.
And final question is, what area could your co-founder improve on? Who wants to dive in first?
Counting during table tennis matches?
Weirdly, I had a similar thing, which was brushing up on table tennis rules.
Along similar lines, I like that. You've both got the same thinking about each other.
We do not hold a
Didn't even
grudge.
confer on that.
Exactly.
We do not
You're
hold a
moving
grudge.
on.
Exactly.
Well, thank you both.
Thank you.
It's been very insightful and great to hear more about where the business came from. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Tori.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Interior Insider. Remember to subscribe to be the first to listen to our latest episodes, and be sure to comment who you'd like to hear from next. Speak soon.